No, thank you.
Because there is a lot of infighting on the right that I think makes us look very bad. One thing about liberals, you guys really do stick together and you actually get work done, even when I don't agree with it.
From my perspective as a liberal, I sometimes see y'all sticking really hard
Yeah,
together.
same.
And y'all are like, no matter what, we're gonna vote red.
Don't.
The far left and the far right are equally problematic. Three, two,
What about wait?
one.
What about Cat Williams borderline? Oh, this motherfucker. What the fuck? Ain't no way. What the fuck? That ain't even. That dude look like. What the fuck? No shot. This is a weird group of motherfuckers. I'm gonna keep it real. Hold on. Did they show who's conservative and who's not? They didn't.
Two, one.
I've
Okay, so I don't know, but
actually seen both sides. I'm a gay conservative, and I have seen the far right chastise.
I'm a gay conservative. Yeah, I can tell now. Look at those fucking jeans and those suspenders, that bow tie. Jesus. Wait, I want to see. Okay, so strongly agree that they're both problematic. Agree, and then disagree.
Both sides. I'm a gay conservative, and I have seen the far right chastise me for my sexuality, and I've seen the far left chastise me for being conservative. I've had my own address put on the freeway here in Los Angeles.
Okay, what do you want to be persecuted for? You chose to be a pigeonhole dickhead. It's like people that are like, I'm a tanky. Well, yeah, so you're gonna get shit on by everybody. It's kind of what you agree to. What would you rather be shit on for? Being gay, which is something you can't change, or being conservative, which is something you can be, I ain't gonna say talked out of, but you can be informed into not being.
Because they feel that my voice should not be out there. So I see the two sides actively doing harm to those of us in the middle who have a really rational voice and want to express ourselves in a safe way.
I appreciate the like anecdotal experience that you had, but like I think my issue saying that like liberals are more problematic. Like I think everyone is.
What I talk about in my anecdotal incident is where I have never had a conservative physically attack
Would
me.
I say I'm left wing? Ugh, I would, I guess. Left leaning, moderate to left leaning. I would say more left leaning. Yeah, definitely left leaning. Because things that I feel strongly about, like gun issues, trans issues. Well, actually, in trans issues, I feel like I'm more moderate. Just overall, like economic, uh, social services. I'm more left leaning. What about you, Phelan?
Physically attack me on the streets for what I am or who I am. They may verbally attack me. I've got that from the left too, but the left has physical attacks on my physical being out on the streets because I'm expressing myself.
So I mean,
Multiple.
the opposite for myself. So like like experiences, as I said, anecdotal. Like
Right.
like your experience, completely valid, but to say, oh, liberals are like worse.
Right.
Like
Well, it's not that there's no one worse, which is why I didn't move to strongly agree. My anecdotal experience tells me that there is a group of people on both sides that will do active harm to someone who steps out of their expected narrative.
I feel like for when we talk about political extremes, I think one, there is a desire for bipartisanship. The second thing is this kind of like playful attachment to
You're right about
facts. People on the far left and the far right, whether we're talking about Israel-Palestine or vaccines, people seem to have like very fun activities in terms of just completely making stuff up regarding these two things. And then the third thing is the demonization of political opponents, where people on the far left and the far right engage in this idea that the people on the opposite side of the aisle, they're not just different or have different ideas, they actually hate the country, they want to destroy us.
People get labeled as extremists just for being even pretty centrist, based on our small conversation we've already had here. I don't think anyone here is extreme.
No.
But going down the street, you might get labeled, crazy leftist or racist or.
I had to take his shirt off, for real.
It's interesting because when
This guy. Why did you, bro? He said I had to take the shirt off for real. Why the fuck did you come there with a fucking Trump shirt on anyway? You goddamn grifter. You're the guy. This dude is like the guys that had signs that was like blacks for Trump, gays for Trump. Like, shut the fuck up, you grifter. You just want eyes on you because you're a minority that likes Trump. And even more of a minority because you sound like you might be homosexual that likes Trump.
during this prompt, I sort of hesitated. I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I used to be what I would characterize as a radical leftist. Now I'm sort of right of center.
Exactly, for the clout.
And I feel like I get characterized as a far-right extremist quite a bit. So I was thinking, what does far-right even mean? Because so many people who I deem to be reasonable are characterized as far-right, and I'm sure people on the left feel that very same way. I've gone and spoken to different campuses, both as a leftist and as a right-of-center individual, and I've never received more hatred or people trying to cancel my events than coming to those campuses as a conservative speaker.
Well, do you think that's because some of that rhetoric causes a lot of harm on the right side? Like a lot of like the things that are being said maybe in those talks like can have like lasting impacts on those students when you're on those campuses. So like, you know, and in the other way, like the conservative students might not like care as much about, you know, like, oh, like progress is being talked about. Like, you know, like I think like there's
Perfect example is Dylan
different-
Mulvaney just spoke at the University of Penn. They are free to go and have a talk. Conservatives didn't come out and try to cancel that event. They didn't threaten staff. They didn't blockade the entrances. They let that event go on. Amala goes to speak, and there's rallies. They're pulling fire alarms. They're attacking the attendees. There is extremism.
I'm
We
sure
just have-
that there is, but I don't think Dylan Mulvaney is the right person to use for your example because of how much
She's a leftist.
she's a leftist, but she's also had her life threatened on multiple occasions.
Right.
She's had to move around a lot because her address continuously is doxxed, and she wasn't even speaking at any sort of event. She was given a free Bud Light can, and her life was threatened.
I think something that's really important to keep in mind, given the entirety of the show actually, is when we talk about like canceling or attacking people, the reality is if you have the power to do it, you will do it. And on college campuses, the prevailing thought right now is generally progressivism. So if they can cancel or if they can bully conservative speakers off campus, they'll do that. But then right now, because conservatives don't have power on college campuses or in some forms of media, they'll say, well, the left is pro-cancel culture. No offense to conservatives. You don't get credit for saying, well, we didn't try to cancel somebody on college campus. Yeah, that's because there's like 10 of you. You couldn't do it even if you wanted to, right? Like, obviously you're not doing it, right?
I think there's way more conservative students than I think.
Yeah, but what his point is that if the roles were reversed, you guys would be canceling people too. You would be bullying people off of campuses too. Like, look at the very few people that were pro freedom and civil rights for women and black people. They were bullied, they were beaten, they were tear gassed, they were sprayed with fucking hoses too. Like if the roles were reversed and you guys were in power or controlled the political lifeblood of the people, of the masses, you would be canceling people. You would be running them off of campuses, and you would be protesting their speaking engagements too. So stop it. All this political
Well, actually, I'm trying
boo-hoo.
to, but maybe they
That's what you
feel
call
like they
liberals
need
when they
to,
like
you know,
snowflakes.
harbor those beliefs internally rather than, you know, espouse them out loud. And I will say, any conservative who wants to shut down an event or a speech, I would wholly disagree with.
There should not be limitations on free speech. 3, 2, 1.
Nah, I disagree with that, bro. I know Destiny probably. Oh, he didn't agree with it. Okay. I didn't think he was gonna agree with it.
Okay, I hate this prompt. Because we all agree that like direct calls to violence are not acceptable, I imagine.
Right.
We all agree like you can't scream fire in a theater. Otherwise, I think that like there should be Nazis on college campuses, like doing their ideology. You should be allowed to say basically whatever rhetoric you want as long as
Okay, I don't know. I feel like Destiny has too much fucking clout, bro. Because this is something, if this girl said that, or or if they said that, everyone would be like, Nazis on campus? No. But because it's him, and I'm sure every single one of them know him, they're like, yes, you're right. There's no pushback. Now, I partially agree with that, but no, actually, I don't fucking agree with that because most Nazis, uh, espouse white supremacy and or the eradication of Jews and other minorities. So no, I don't fucking agree with that. Maybe conservative talking points should be heard, but not Nazis of all people. Come on, and people just saying yes to that, I feel like that's crazy.
On college campuses, like doing their ideology, you should be allowed to say basically whatever rhetoric you want, as long as it's not like violating the terms of service of a platform. I do agree that vaccine misinformation is harmful. I do agree that misinformation relating to conspiracy theories is harmful, but I don't think the proper way to go about addressing that is to lock it all down and to ban it. I like the steps that YouTube has taken where they might put a note under the video, or what Twitter, or the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, called X, is taking, where they have like the community note system.
I was thinking the very same thing as you. Of course, there are certain things that you cannot do, even with free speech being present. And I'm not sure how you define hate speech. So with some of the hate speech laws that are coming about, I think those need to be reevaluated and maybe rolled back, because even people who we disagree with or we don't like or we view as evil should still be able to espouse their beliefs.
Right. For example, right now, what's going on with students on campus, I don't agree that Congress and other individuals should limit what students are talking about on campus, what's going on in Gaza, what's going on in Israel, with the crackdown on JVP, the crackdown on Students for Justice for Palestine. The people who are in power should understand that students are the most...
Here's the issue, right? Here's the issue. At least in this situation, and this guy's trying to portray it as if it's completely peaceful, and if Arbel was there, he would probably be screaming at me, or be screaming in general to hop in the chat. Here's the thing: most of those Justice for Palestine and most of those pro-Palestinian groups also have individuals who espouse anti-Semitic rhetoric, very anti-Jew rhetoric, globalize the Intifada, enact Sharia law, death to America, death to Israel. These things are not only anti-American, anti-freedom, but they're also calls for the death of individuals who might actually be still on campus with those individuals, who might be students of that school, and you just can't do that. Like when people were walking around through college campuses with fucking torches, neo-Nazis, they called for them to stop doing that, didn't they?
Abrasive when it comes to speaking out against injustices.
I'm a free speech absolute.
I'm talking about Hamas supporters. Not every Hamas supporter, but there's a lot of Hamas supporters there's a lot of individuals who embedded in those groups who espouse anti-Semitic rhetoric, and that's incendiary, and that shouldn't be allowed on campus. I mean, you can say that walking down the street, that's freedom of speech, but you can't say it on campus. You can't say it to you can't protest or have those things happen on campus because they're essentially attacking students on that campus. Right?
I think that there should be repercussions to certain free speech, but it's a constitutional right, and yeah, that's where I stand with it.
Also, I don't like this argument that, oh, it's a constitutional right, you should say whatever the fuck you want. No, it isn't. The First Amendment protects free speech and freedom of speech, but there's also amendments to the Constitution that either libelous speech, which is just outright false speech, or speech that would cause someone to action. So basically, speech that would upset someone enough that they would want to attack you. That's not protected under the First Amendment.
I don't want any apps being banned. Right. I don't want people being banned from certain apps. And I think there's an attack on our First Amendment right now. Yeah.
I guess so, but I don't agree with innocent Palestinians being murdered. That's 19 minutes. That's pro-humanity. Yeah, I don't agree with innocent Palestinians being murdered either. I'm just saying, in the people that are nice and safe in these Western countries, like in the UK, in Europe, in America, in Canada, who are perfectly so far away from the violence, sitting here going like globalize the Intifada and kill all Jews and Holocaust denialism and shit like that. It's fucking horrible. I can call out that being horrible, and also call out Israel murdering dropping bombs on all these innocent Palestinians as also horrible. Both are horrible. The thing is, or also people in America saying, kill all Palestinians, they deserve to die, and all of them are terrorists. That is also 100% wrong. That's not true. And they don't deserve to get bombs dropped on them and thousands of them dying. But as it goes to, in regards to campus life, the institution has the right to censor that type of speech on their campus, the same way X or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram can go, well, you can't just go around calling black people N-word, and we're not going to do anything about it. We're going to ban you. Of course. You just can't do it.
Do you think no one should be banned from
No,
platform?
absolutely
So
not.
like someone calls me like the F slur, you like leave them.
Yeah,
Why?
I get called that
because
all the
that's their
time.
right to say that. Now, you know, you
That's
can't.
their right to say that. I mean, yes, it is their right to say that, but you should also deal with the consequences of that act. One of those consequences being, if you're going to say that on someone's platform, they don't want that speech being said on their platform, you can get deplatformed or banned. Like, imagine this dude here, seemed like he's a little sweet, might be a little homosexual, right? Probably, I'm assuming, but probably. He said people call me that all the time. Okay. You might be okay with that, but that doesn't make it so that everyone has to be okay with that, right? Just like people saying, oh, well, my friends say the N-word and blah, 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 and they call me N-word all the time. That don't mean I want them calling me the N-word. The fuck? Also, you're also at the whims of that platform. And if they don't want that information, if they don't want those words and those and that hate being said on their platform, they have the right to ban you. If you don't like that, make your own motherfucking platform. It's like, this guy.
Certain speech. I don't think the platform should be able to remove them, but I think you should have the right to block them, like we already.
Also,
can.
I was gonna say, it slipped my mind. If he was on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and every post somebody was like F F F F F F F, just waves of people just calling him the F slur. Eventually, he's gonna be like, okay, Twitter, X, Facebook, whatever, you need to do something. He's not just gonna be like, oh well, they shouldn't be banned. Like, it's such a soft viewing of what limitations or what people get banned for. So uncharitable.
Now, because I've lost 3 Instagram profiles just for saying, "Oh, I don't think children should have sex changes under the age of 18." Account's gone. Like, I've lost thousands of followers.
Is that why, bro? That's not true. He would definitely not accept being called the F word. Yeah, that's such cap. That's such bullshit, bro. And even if, cause I know gay people, some gay people who are okay with just like, I know some trans people that are okay being called a tranny. That doesn't mean that just because they're okay with it, everyone is, and it doesn't mean that they would be okay if a random person on the street was like, "What's up, F?" Like, what? Like, this is cope. It's only because people on his side of the spectrum get canceled for the shit and can't help themselves but to say it and fucking use these words that are not permissible. So he's trying to make it seem like this. Also, don't try to pretend, oh, I've lost thousands of followers because I just said kids shouldn't get sex changes. No, you probably said some other unhinged shit and they banned your ass 3 times, really, for that? Come on, that is not true.
And stuff for just saying things that I think are just common
I do have a
sense,
question for you, actually.
Yeah.
Because I can understand why, like, hearing a word like that is harmful and it's not something that you want to deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather know who's homophobic, though? Wouldn't you rather know who's
Bro,
racist?
what the fuck kind of question is that? So you're okay if somebody was to be like, you dirty, you stinking dirty, as long as you know that they're racist? Okay, I know you're a racist now, so I know to stay away from you. What? Wouldn't you rather know who's racist, bro? What kind of fucking thought process? What is in that fucking lemon head? What is in there? It's not a brain. What is it, a conga line? What is it, fucking peanuts? Because there cannot be a brain in here. You are so fucking conservative brain. You can't even fucking think. You can't even fucking think. How tight is this ponytail, brother? This shit must be too tight. Loosen that shit.
These platforms have the right.
That's why they cut right
as
there.
private businesses to say what they want on those businesses. It's not cancel culture for them to take down slurs. And honestly, they're not that great at taking down slurs anywhere. Anyway, because I get called a on a daily basis online just for being a Jewish person.
Fortunate thing is this internet and social media has become the town square. And the town square, if you were to take a box and put it in the town square, there is no limit on what you can say. And who's to say the city's gonna come down and say, you use the word and we're gonna take your soapbox and you can't ever come back to my city? That's exactly what you're doing when you're saying the platform has every right to remove this language.
You have
No, but here's the thing. You do not have, it is not a God-given right to be on fucking Twitter, to be on Instagram, to be on Facebook. It is a privilege. It is their company, and you choose when you sign that, when you fucking click the yes on terms and conditions, that you will follow those terms and conditions. And if you do not, they have the right to fucking kick you off the platform and send your stupid ass to Rumble, where there's like 2 viewers to your goddamn name. So shut the fuck up.
option to go to another platform. There's plenty of
So we have an option to
conservative.
go to another city then.
There's plenty of conservative platforms
Now
that
you have no free speech.
you have free speech.
It's the same thing with you guys and abortion, right? You want abortion off the just not even an option, right? If people were to say, "Oh, well, there's no abortion rights in Florida," what would you say? Well, you got to deal with it or go to another city. Them's the breaks. Right? Like, have you forgotten?
Have so many options.
I think we have to be really careful when we talk about the concept of free speech. I like the concept of free speech, and I would defend that across multiple platforms, but that's fundamentally different than the First Amendment. The First Amendment has nothing to do with like the concept of free speech.
Right.
The First Amendment prohibits Congress or state or local governments from making laws specifically abridging your right to freedom of speech. Like hate speech laws don't exist in the United States because there's not hate speech. Hate could be an aggravator to an existing crime, but we don't outlaw certain types of speech. Twitter does not have a legal obligation. It's a violation of their First Amendment right to say they have to host whatever type of speech or tweet that somebody has on the platform.
And a hate crime and a hate incident are two different things
Two
too.
different
And I wanted to say, like, if somebody called you, the F word, and then they said they wanted to kill you, then that's a hate crime,
Bingo.
and that's not protected, right?
Correct.
But a hate incident, somebody could call you an F word and not say they want to kill you, and that's still protected.
Exactly. It could be an
under free
aggravating
speech.
circumstance to an
Exactly.
existing crime, but you can call somebody whatever you want,
Right.
and it's not, yeah.
I often criticize my own political party. 3, 2, 1.
I was going to say the liberals going over. Get the fuck out of
But
here.
it's
Lying so much. Okay, 1, 2, 3 are liars. You know who fucking criticized their party? Fucking liberals so goddamn much. This dude is probably the only person telling the truth other than the people that are liberal here. This dude is a fucking liar. He got a goddamn Trump shirt on. What the fuck do you criticize him on? Strongly agree. Stop the fucking cap. She's a liar too. This dude barely said anything, but I'm assuming he lying too. But back it up. Back it up.
I see that you're on the disagree side.
I
though.
am.
Like,
I'm sitting here
what
listening.
brought you there?
What brought me here is because I tend to be a more, I guess you could say, traditional conservative in that I don't like to speak ill of my own party. I just don't. For me to go out and air their dirty laundry out where everyone can see it is only going to put a blemish on them. And I always want to put my best foot forward, and I always want to put my party's best foot forward. But I will point out the instances where I disagree with them privately so that they can make the necessary changes.
I've got to ask, I'm so sorry, because you said you were a Trump supporter, right?
Yes.
Or this must be like the thing you hate the most about him, then, right? Because isn't Trump like the most
But
like
here-
anti-Republican attacks
But
his
here's
own
the
party?
thing, I come from a community where we found our power in local government. I've separated myself from this idea that I'm gonna speak poorly about Trump because I want him to put his best foot forward.
I wish more liberals did that, to be honest. I think a lot of liberals, we tend to bash our party on the social media platforms or when we protest a lot, right? But I think when it comes to going to these city council meetings, going to Congress, writing our elected officials, we tend to fall back on that, and we rely on social media, and we rely on demonstrations.
There is a lot of infighting on the right that I think makes us look very bad. One thing about liberals, you guys really do stick together and you actually get work done.
What the fuck are you talking about? Liberals stick together. Are you, I guess because you're conservative, you don't know what goes on, but, or maybe you did say you was banned 3 times from fucking Instagram for talking about kids. So maybe you just don't see what happens. But there are so many different subsects of fucking leftism that it's fucking insane to think that everyone is okay and just being like, oh yes, we are the Democratic Party and we stand together is fucking bullshit. Maybe when election season comes around for president, but um even then, when it comes to primaries, we are not fucking united. Are you out of your mind? DeAndre is lost. Oh, that's a nigga name. I thought you was making that up. You do like a fucking DeAndre with that fucking milk dud head.
Even when I don't agree with it, where it's the right, with people like us, I feel like they see gay Republicans or conservatives as useful idiots, to be honest. That's why I kind of
Okay, but you are a useful idiot though. You're very useful to the party, and they're not gonna push you away, but you're very useful to them. Did you not hear that guy who was also gay say that he got more criticism for being gay and conservative from fucking conservatives? Did you miss that part? Whereas it was the conservative part that liberals disagreed with. Just for his sexuality, they were fucking with him. They didn't like him. You're like, oh well, gays, and like, bro.
saying that I'm a gay conservative or gay Republican. They don't try to cast a wide net to bring new people over, whereas liberals do.
From my perspective as a liberal, I sometimes see y'all sticking really hard
Yeah,
together.
same.
And y'all are like, no matter what, we're gonna vote red. Like, y'all seem very unified, even though you're talking about like public, like there's like internal discourse. But like, I feel like liberals feel like there's a lot of internal discourse amongst us.
Okay, so the conservative discourse is, okay, you have the white, right wing, MAGA, no, like conservative that votes red and is against abortion, against deep state and big government, and against immigrants coming into the country, probably against gay people and transsexuals, right? Then you have the gay people who are conservative, who pretend that the party does not like gay people because they're either grifters or they're vastly uninformed dumbass motherfuckers. Then you have the mind you, there's some overlap here. Then you have the black conservatives who are woefully uninformed and they're reactionary and they just basically don't want to be a part of the Democratic Party because they believe that black people are like what's the word I want to use? They're kind of forced into the Democratic Party. Like it's known that if you're black, you're Democrat. So they're kind of reactionary in that sense, as they're like, well, I don't want to be pigeonholed in that sense and be like what everybody else. I'm going to be a Republican. Typical conservative is like an MMA fighter, Kobe. Yeah. That's typical. Then you have Trumpers. And I'm going to just make that very broad. Trumpers, including people who are anti-gay, anti-trans, all of that shit. As long as they got a red MAGA hat on, they are a Trumper. They fit into the Trump section. Now, that was like what, 4 or 5 groups? When it comes to fucking Democrats, you have the fucking, you have the middle of the road, left-leaning people who are pro-Joe Biden and ready to go. You have the people that are just regular Democrat, like fucking Nancy Pelosi, usually older people who are going to vote blue for most things anyway. So basically, they're the equivalent of the regular basic fucking Republican. Then you have the farther left people who probably have like blue hair, pink hair, multicolored hair. These are the ones that go to fucking protest about veganism and animal cruelty and shit like that. Then you have farther left, and you got your fucking social democrats who push for social reforms in the United States. Then you have even farther left, you have your socialists who want socialism in the United States, and then you have your fucking tankies who want communism. So all of those together, and then I didn't even go into the demographics where it goes to like gay Democrats, trans Democrats, because that's just overall, I feel like.
We're always yelling at each other.
Well, that's interesting because Democrats, they're winning a lot more elections.
Democrats.
You know, and that's another critique I have of the Republican Party. You know, the midterm elections, they completely blew it. They put out a lot of bad candidates. The left didn't do that. They
And
put a lot.
policies. It's like the right stays stuck on certain things, like abortion. It's like they're unbudging with that, and it's like, all right, if we're pro-life, let's be pro-life in and outside the womb. you know, because they only focus
Right.
on abortion. Well, what about war? Because now they want to send everybody over to Israel. So I'm like,
Israel. Who is going to Israel? Nobody's sending anyone to Israel. There's no fucking troop movements to Israel from the United States. So what are you talking about? You're not making any sense.
Violence should never be the answer to any issue.
True. Everybody should agree with this.
1.
Well, no. Everybody should agree with this, but all these conservative motherfuckers should go over to the disagree side because January 6th happened and none of the motherfuckers would say that it was bad in any fucking situation. So let's see what they fucking do. I'm gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna say 2 of them are gonna go to the disagree side. The other 2 is gonna go to agree. 1. Oh shit. Oh. Wait. Oh, they went to agree. 1, 2, 3. He's the only one that went to disagree. Whoa. Why? Okay. I think Angel will disagree. Yeah. Wait. Which one is Angel? Oh, this guy, right? Cat Williams. Wait. No. That.
I mean, violence, assuming we have a functioning democracy,
Oh,
I think
okay.
violence is bad for 2 huge reasons. One is because we don't want to condition people to feel like violence is the answer to political disagreements. And then 2, we want everybody to be able to utilize some form of protest against the government. And when we endorse violence, we're now saying it's okay for even people we disagree with to use violence, and that could be really scary for a lot of different reasons. But I would say in general, in 99%, where we're at today in the United States, we are not at the level of where violence is necessary to enact any kind of political change.
I wouldn't say that's entirely true. I mean, there's a certain level of
Wait, I got
violence
distracted.
happening.
Protest against the government. And when we endorse violence, we're now saying it's okay for even people we disagree with to use violence, and that could be really scary for a lot of different reasons. But I would say in general, in 99%, where we're at today in the United States, we are not at the level of where violence is necessary to enact any kind of political change.
I wouldn't
Wait,
say
so why did you go on and
that's
disagree?
entirely true. I mean, there's a certain level of violence happening to marginalized communities. That doesn't mean I necessarily agree with violence when it comes to the Palestinian rebellion that's been happening in Israel.
Rebellion.
I don't agree with Hamas killing people, that's terrorism, but at the same time, the violent uprisings that have happened, most of which have actually been peaceful, but still there is some sort of violence happening because they've been oppressed for so long. Like back in the Holocaust, people think that, oh, Jews went peacefully into the concentration camps. No, we were violent. We had uprisings, we fought back. At a certain point, there is violence in fighting back to oppression.
I put agree because I don't strongly agree with it because I'm all about nonviolence in my life.
Now, keep in mind, I agree with Destiny fully unless you're on that 1940s German type beat. Wait. So Destiny said he thinks that there's no place for violence in today's society, and is not the answer to any issue. But then he also disagreed. He went on the disagree side that violence should never be the answer to any issue. So that means he believes that violence should be the answer to some issue. Genuine Yoshi. He literally, I agree with what he said. DeAndre's face. I agree with what he said, but then he also stood in the disagree side that it should never be the issue. I mean, never be the answer to any issue. So he believes that violence should be the answer to some issues. What was I going to say before? Yes. Okay, so keep in mind that she's Jewish. Not that really makes too much of a difference, but her saying that if she was talking about if violence came from the West Bank and she was like it's mostly peaceful, I would agree with that. But when you go into another nation, keep in mind Gaza is completely cut off, walled off, no Jewish people in it. When you go into Israel proper and murder a bunch of people, you kind of lose that label, because then it's like if one of the border towns of Mexico and Texas literally went into Texas and killed a bunch of people. but secretly say they support the attack on the U.S. Capitol. They are lying. Yeah, they support. They 100% do. They just don't want to look like fucking unhinged motherfuckers. Also, keep in mind, when this was taken, they probably weren't even thinking about. When this was recorded, they probably weren't even thinking about January 6th. They were probably like, this probably was recorded in like December or some shit. So they thinking like, in our landscape today, violence should never be the answer. Plus, they probably also keep in mind, when you're a black conservative, your only real big talking point to get any like clout is Black Lives Matter. So they're probably thinking Black Lives Matter. Like, oh, the issue was Democrats and leftists causing violence in the United States. We would never do that as Republicans. Keep in mind, there were 100% right-leaning people and people of all political spectrums involved in violence. Yeah, they hate Black Lives Matter. Like, this is their, when they, like, same thing with Candace Owens, their rise to fame 100% probably came from Black Lives Matter and being a conservative during that time.
I practice my spirituality. I'm all about nonviolence. But at the same time, as I organize and I'm on the ground and I'm at protests and I'm at demonstrations, by any means necessary means, right, quoting Malcolm X, that you have to have some form of disagreement with the state that's not listening to your needs as people, as free people. And sometimes that takes, rebellious actions like burning down banks or burning down institutions that are not listening to you. But as Black people in America, if we're only demanding liberty and justice, we're not asking for revenge. We're just asking for equality. And sometimes I think the state looks at us being a resistant as violence.
Sure.
Okay. The fat dude with the beard never says anything. He really doesn't. He's just here to be, because they needed one more conservative for the fucking. He probably was walking down the street with a fucking sandwich in his hand. They were like, "You look conservative," and he was like, "Yeah, I am." And he was like, "All right, well, you want to come in this video?" You could tell the people that knew they were coming. One, this motherfucker with the suspenders and them fucking ugly ass shoes. Her, obviously, she chose to wear red. This motherfucker wore a goddamn Trump shirt. She tried to look as flamboyant as possible, and then there's Destiny. I don't know about this girl. Oh yeah, what was I gonna say about him? Yeah. So here's the thing. Yes, any means necessary. Get your point across, whatever. But you can't pretend that it's not violence. It is violence. If you want to say that the people in Gaza or even Black Lives Matter, they had no other option, or they were trying to get their voices heard or be seen, and they chose to use any means necessary, they still enacted violence. So you can't really say, oh, it's not really violence. It is violence, 100%.
Sure. Yeah, the reason I came over here, I was thinking more internationally. If a country is met with violence, there's really only one way to respond to that. I don't think Israel could go to Hamas and say, "Hey guys, can you just not do that?"
Yeah,
again?
but here's the thing, brother. Pay attention. This whole thing is about conservatives and liberals. It's not fucking talking about America and fucking in another country that it might be in conflict with. It's not talking about fucking Israel's Palestine. It's not talking about fucking Ukraine and fucking Russia. It's talking about conservatives and liberals in the United States of America. Bro, wake up. There's sometimes to be globalist and think broadly, but in the context of this situation, we're talking about liberals and conservative. That's it. We're not talking about the world.
When Hamas is already saying that they plan more attacks that they had on October 7th. So I think Israel has the right to defend themselves with violence.
I really hope this don't go into a fucking Israel-Palestine debate.
Sure, I think so there's a couple of key things to keep in mind here. So one is, when we talk about like violence in response to political ideas, we have to be really careful that we don't redefine violence to mean literally anything that we don't like. Because I've noticed that like people are doing these things where like there is a white supremacist violence against Black communities because of the way money is distributed with our taxes. And people will take that very academic form of violence, and it's okay, I think, to have this analysis, but they'll take that academic form of violence and they'll say, now we can kill police officers and burn down buildings, or now we can engage in arson or destroy neighborhoods.
My side
that's
is
facts.
misrepresented by the media. 3, 2, 1.
Why is she confused? Come on, get those peanuts rattling in that fucking lemon head. Come on. Go over to the disagree side. 1, 2, 3, go to disagree. You don't think you're, I have to I'm gonna guess what they gotta say. I have to go to Rumble because I was kicked off Instagram 3 times for talking about children. I have to go to all the Reds will go with a fully agree. Oh, misrepresented. Yeah, you're right. Okay, I thought it would say is represented. Misrepresented. They're going to agree. That's why she's confused. He's gonna go like, well, I have to look at Tucker Carlson on Facebook and Twitter and X because they kicked him off of Fox News, and that was my goddamn place of getting the information. And then she gonna go over to agree and probably not say much.
Honestly, the media is controlled by the left.
Okay, yeah, okay. This is all the liberals, and this is all the.
Honestly, the media is controlled by the left. I really never see any positive light shine on conservatives nor the right.
You want to know why there's not positive light shown on fucking conservatives and the right? It's because you guys say some unhinged shit. Y'all cannot just be fucking normal or allow discourse. Y'all always gotta say some fucking crazy shit. You gotta push conspiracy theories. You gotta make shit up and spread misinformation. You got like y'all like talking points are not based in facts and evidence. It's always some shit like, oh, well, did you know that Hunter Biden's laptop actually had a video of Joe Biden f***ing alien from Area 51, and that's why they don't want to show it? And it's like, bro, why the fuck? You don't even need to go that far. Why? You don't have to do this shit. That's why you aren't portrayed in the fucking media. Like, what the fuck? Like you got banned 3 times from Instagram because you was probably talking some dumb shit.
In the media ever, unless it's right-leaning media.
And to your point, what I think is really interesting to even just look at the conservatives who are here today, it's a pretty diverse bunch of people. And when
Is it diverse? We have 2 blackies, both grifters. We have fucking basic trucker dude, and then we have a gay grifter. Then we have over on the liberal side, we have trans woman who is flamboyant as fuck. We have Jewish woman. We have Jewish woman. We have black guy, and we have white guy. Like we have more diversity on this side than this side. And y'all are only here because you're grifters. If they were to actually get real conservatives from like people that have been conservative all their life or some shit, y'all wouldn't be here. It would be two probably white women, and then these two basic blonde white women, and then this trucker dude, and then this grifter. In reality,
conservatives who are here today, it's a pretty diverse bunch of people. And when I was on the left, my characterization of conservatives was like white, heterosexual, old man, and to having moved over that space and see, oh, there's way more people who just happen to have conservative beliefs, or maybe they don't agree with some of the woke stuff that's happening right now. I think we are often
okay. Here's my one of my biggest issues with people's political discourse. If you don't agree with woke stuff, does that mean that you should be Republican? Like, if you don't agree with, like, say, oh, I don't believe that men should be feminized. I don't believe that men should be, like, I think men should be strong and tough, and I think women should stay at home, take care of kids. You can be a traditional Democrat. You can be someone that believes in traditional norms and be Democratic. You don't have to be woke to be Democratic. You could be anti-woke and be Democratic. People think, oh, well, I don't believe in vaccines, so therefore I'm Republican. No, you could be anti-vaccine and be fucking Democrat. You can be anti-woke and be Democrat. You can be fucking anti let's say anti-Biden and be Democrat. Like, you might not believe in everything and he espouses, but you believe in enough and probably don't like enough of the right to be someone that is Democratic. There are plenty of Democrats who live the traditional live 100% the traditional family life. Like, they'll literally they go to work, their wife stays home or has a little job she does and takes care of the kids while he provides and they have a traditional family lifestyle. I don't know why people think that the two can't conflate.
Characterized.
I do agree that right now, ironically, it seems like the left and the farther left have more kind of corporate media control in terms of how images are displayed. So you're going to feel like if you're a conservative that you're not accurately represented, and the left maybe gets some more fair representation. But on platforms where conservatives run things, holy Christ, are people on the left completely and totally misrepresented. Like, how many times have I heard these stupid quotes from the WEF where it's like, oh, you want us to rent everything and own nothing, and you want us to eat bugs, and you're on your 57th booster shot. Today, if anybody's ever listened to Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, Billy Cunningham, like any of these people, these guys are not giving fair, accurate representation of the left. Their voices just tend to be more marginalized or smaller now in media because of how much corporate control kind of like bows to the woke agenda, I would say. Yeah.
I'd like to push back on that just a little bit. I agree with a lot what you're saying, but when it comes to right-wing media, maybe platforms like the Daily Wire or PragerU, they're very open about the fact that they're conservative. A lot of the mainstream left news, they'll present their opinion as fact, but like
Do they? I feel like places like CNN, MSNBC, Associated Press, Reuters, even things like BBC and shit like that. If they're gonna give an opinion piece, they're gonna say it's an opinion piece. They're not gonna just put out information that's an opinion and say it's fact.
like Ben Shapiro, he'll tell everyone, listen to my show, listen to Pod Save America, figure out what you think is right, and you could figure out the facts based on what we're both saying. You don't see that as much from the left.
I want to push back.
I would give him this. When it comes to alternative media, maybe not so much the big corporations like CNN and shit like that. When it comes to alternative media, people like to give their information, their opinion as 100% fact. I don't know everything, but a lot of people will go on the air on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, fucking Kick, whatever, and they'll say, this is what it is, this is what happened, and everyone in their community will eat it up, even though they probably don't know shit because they just stay in their fucking room all the time. So I'll agree with him in that sense. I don't think that's what he's talking about, but I'll agree with him in that sense.
Because Ben Shapiro has stated a lot of opinions as facts.
Yeah.
I don't think I think that there are better examples to use within the Conservative Party that are more open about being opinionated, but Ben Shapiro is not.
Yeah, or Michael Knowles saying transgenderism should just be eradicated from society. It's like, so now y'all are really giving them a bullet to use against us.
It's the culture war bullshit.
Yeah, culture war
it's
bullshit,
just
yeah.
like that's what I'm so sick of between both sides, because I do think that both sides are misrepresented.
What? Feline, you don't like Ben Shapiro's voice? You don't like when people go to and then they go down the street, and then when he came back, he made sure that he knew what he was doing, and I came over and I made sure that if he went across the street, then why couldn't he have gone to the left? Like, I don't get how people don't like that. That's amazing. I could sit there and listen to that all fucking day.
They went way too hard with the Bud Light thing. I'm like, let's let it go.
Especially on this topic now, I think in 2020 we all can agree every news station, besides most conservative news stations and podcasts, were posting black squares and saying that they were black people. But now, what's going on with Israel and Hamas, you see some media companies taking the silent side or firing correspondents on CNN like Mark Lamont Hill, or firing other people on MSNBC if they have a neutral stance. So I agree with you. I think it's a cultural war on both ends, right? You have some liberal apparatuses who don't agree with something.
No, not this guy. He didn't say he was gay.
Things that some liberals say.
Same with the Reagan, how they did Tucker Carlson.
Both liberal and
Bro, Tucker Carlson literally lied to his fucking his community. He lied on air, so they fired him. He didn't get fired for no reason. He didn't get fired for having a neutral stance. Are you joking? Racist text message that came out during the during his legislative process, but Dominion voting season, but it used it as a part of the decision to give him the axe. So he was lying about voter registration, and he also said some racist shit. I must have forgot about the racist shit, but he was blatantly lying too.
Conservative media, even if they say they're blatantly stating facts, they're failing to contextualize those facts, because a story presented with blank facts looks very different when you actually hear like the build up and like really see what's going on underneath.
Mainstream media tends to misrepresent conservatives. We all can agree on that. But what they do very well is they misrepresent liberals in a positive light. We can all remember the news anchor going, "It's a mostly peaceful rally," and there's a building burning behind him. They've misrepresented the other side, saying, "Look, this side is all sunshine and rainbows." And instead of actually elevating people who were advocating for peace and saying, "Please don't destroy these buildings," they focused on the destruction and everything else, but not the actual destruction. So I see
They focused on the
both sides
destruction,
being
but not the destruction. Keep that in mind, folks. Focus on the destruction, but you're missing the destruction.
completely misrepresentative, but misrepresented in different ways. The right being ignored and cast out as crazy, and the left going, "We're the shining example of tolerance. Look at us." When underneath the surface, we see the truth.
What is the
The
truth?
American dream is still alive. 3, 2, 1.
That's a big fat no. When y'all don't want immigrants in this country. Fuck is the dream to get thrown into a hotel and then
I feel
sent
like
back?
when upward class mobility is so hard as it is right now, the American dream is it's either dead or it's on life support, because it's just damn near impossible for people to climb out of poverty. Everyone thinks that they're going to be the next Jeff Bezos. You're closer to being on Skid Row than you're ever going to be to Jeff Bezos.
I think the American dream has become the American memory. Like, I was thinking about this just outside of politics. Like, you know how a lot of people have nostalgia for like the past and stuff. It made me look at America, and it's like, we're not gonna get back the America that we were post 9/11, when everybody was a little more unified outside of the Patriot Act and everything.
Yeah, everyone's a lot more unified because they had someone to point at and say fuck them people, and that unfortunately was Muslim and people from Islam. That was not a great time in American history. Also, as a homosexual, did you forget about the what was it? Don't ask, don't tell laws about homosexuals in the military?
We're not going to get the America where all races could get along without people saying, "Oh, you're culturally appropriating, you're microaggressions," all that little stuff that keeps us divided. I don't think we'll get back to the America that we grew up in. I honestly don't. Like, I want to be optimistic, but it's hard.
I guess I just don't know that that's the necessary point of the American dream. I think it shifts and it changes, and it takes on the context of the time that it's in, where we had that sort of old school nuclear family, house with the white picket fence. That's changing with technology and corporations buying up properties and things like that. But I don't think the American dream is dead. I think it's taking on a new form. I think still there is no better place to be, no better place for progress. And as you watch people in other countries, what are they influenced by? They're influenced by America. Where do they want to be? They want to be in America. So very much still alive. Opportunity is very much still alive. It just looks
The
different.
dream or the idea?
The dream.
The dream.
The dream.
Yeah,
The dream.
I agree strongly with what you're saying here. That dream of being able to buy a house, having the nuclear family, being happy, that's still my view of the American dream. It is harder to attain, that's for sure. It might be dead here in California.
New York?
It's not, I can assure you.
I want to believe that the American dream can be like real. The more I've experienced life, the more I feel it is a little more on the dead side. Like, it's like this idea that we're taught when we're growing up is that you work the hardest, you're gonna get the most, right? But that's just not true. And that's not the world we live in. And I know it's a little pessimistic. As I said, I want to be like the poverty cycle breaker in my family, but it's like, it feels next to impossible sometimes.
It may feel out of reach, but I started my adult life with $35 in my pocket, and I was a runaway because my parents locked me up. I saw them achieve the American dream of having a home and having beautiful children. I wanted that, and I worked hard. And now in my work in real estate, I see people achieving the American dream all day long. Sometimes California is a little outside of our price range. We got to go to another state. But that potential, that idea that I am free to choose to get a home, choose to get land, choose to start a business, that is still here. And I wholeheartedly believe that the American dream still rests in our hands. We just have to be strong enough to take it.
I think for individuals who immigrate to America, the American dream may still be alive and embedded within their spirit. But I think for BIPOC folk that are within America, the American dream is sort of a memory, and it's becoming less vibrant due to the housing crisis, due to, like you said earlier, gentrification, due to the lack of education. When the American dream was first, promoted within the 1960s, Reagan, Nixon, they funneled so much money within the American economy for people to go to college and not worry about it, for people to afford a home and not worry about it, for people to get a car and not worry about it.
Be able to work a minimum wage job and support a family.
Thank you, but now, since there's so many instances of people on the top, making sure they hold that wealth, we see so many BIPOC folk in America suffering and not being able to get to that middle class, right? The American middle class is no longer here.
So
let's
you're
be honest.
speaking just from the BIPOC perspective, not American.
I'm speaking just from the BIPOC perspective.
Isn't like the American dream supposed to apply to
Everybody,
everyone?
yeah.
And I think that's the
All of
issue.
us.
It's like,
Right.
when I heard you, I'm like, I think that's amazing that like some people do have the access to move and stuff like that. But like, what do you say for those people at the bottom who are working so hard and they can't? Like, they
I
just
feel like a lot of the views you have of the American dream get so politically tainted that one of the things that sucks is for the cool things that are happening in America, you can't even take credit for it anymore. I hate that I chose like the most politically divisive topics, but like, for instance, like I personally think the COVID vaccine, that was a huge success of United States innovation and capitalism. I think our guns are really cool. I think that's like super awesome. You can shoot awesome firearms in the United States. I'm a proud gun owner from Nebraska. It seems like for all the things that exist that are good, we can't take credit for them anymore because all of them become so heavily politically divided that we start to have this huge doomer outlook on everything.
I think it's really hard for some people to have that optimistic outlook when there is so much in the way. Like I, as a disabled person, we're still forgotten about with marriage equality. We're still forgotten about when it comes to health mandates. For a lot of people who live this every day, for us, the American dream is dead, and it's been dead for a while.
I just think like as a the
COVID
fact that we're
added
all
80 on
here
that,
and
so.
like clothed and fed and have water and we're here discussing ideas and like how to make this country a better place, to me that completely signifies the American dream we are currently.
So the American dream in your eyes is to have clothes on your back, to have water, and to be fed. So the American dream is not different from 98% of the fucking world. It is literally only a dream in the context that is American. Otherwise, it could be the Australian dream. It could be the fucking African dream. It could be the European dream. You have food, you have water, you got clothes on your back. You're good. Stop fucking complaining.
living it.
that's like, as you said, like a really optimistic view, like, oh, look how far we've come, but what if that's not enough for those people right now? Like, that sucks for the people living right now who don't have what they need.
That's
so
the
like,
beauty of America. We are free to succeed or we are free to fail. It's free to do whatever you want.
I'd rather be here. I'll just say that. I'd rather be in America.
Right.
Fucking DeAndre, bro. I can't. Oh, man.